Siema and welcome back to Beyond Borders. Welcome back to another video. I hope everyone is keeping warm in this winter that is fast approaching us.
It's freezing.
It is really cold and the South African in me is craving sunshine.
This is probably why I wouldn't move to Poland, because if Germany's cold, they say Poland's even colder. But we don't know. But we've been there in the winter.
It was, yes, it was bad.
And it was freezing.
It was cold.
It was cold.
So, what's in store for us today?
Well, I feel like this guy does a lot of videos that are very similar to us, and we also enjoy his content because I feel like we are very much similar. But we have considered a lot in the past moving to Poland. Not just because we like the country a lot, but looking at a career, looking at a family. There's been multiple things that we have assessed, but I think we still need to investigate, see, if there's stuff that obviously matches up with us.
Yeah, and things that don't match up with us.
That's the important stuff. I think the hardest adaptation would probably be the language.
I think so. It's not easy.
I thought German was hard, but Polish is another level.
Mm-hmm.
So this video is why you'll hate living in Poland.
Harsh. Sounds hard.
But I think we've been to Poland enough times to understand how Poles are, so we can kind of assess, is it legit?
Yeah, is he speaking nonsense?
Is he speaking the truth? I feel the Poles live a much more easier lifestyle. I feel they don't get compensated as much as other European countries do. Their pay is lower, and I think that's probably been one of the biggest reasons why we haven't found anything in Poland, because it's a very expensive country to live in. If you are not earning a global salary, you can't travel around, you don't see Poles able to explore, but yet everyone goes to Poland because it's pretty cheap to live in Poland if you got a European salary. But if you got a Polish salary, I've heard it's very, the salary doesn't go as far.
Yeah, that is something that a lot of Poles have mentioned in our comments. So let's see what he has to say.
And if you agree with it, let us know down in the comments down below. If you disagree with any of it, let us know why.
Yeah, we'd love to know.
Today I want to talk about the reasons why you will not like living in Poland. Starting with number one, I think this is probably the worst thing. Polish people are not the nicest. There's a common stereotype that they're like coconuts, where they have a hard exterior and a soft exterior. Once you get to know them, then they're super friendly. And I would say from my experience, that has been quite true. I'm used to a certain level of friendliness because in the US in general, we have manners that everybody treats.
Yes and no. Yes, I'd say they got a harder shell, but that's Europeans in general.
Yeah.
I feel like Europeans in general are a lot more closed off, a bit more reserved. It's hard to befriend them because they're not as open to talking. I feel like there's a lot of similarities with American culture in wanting to just strike up a conversation and talk. Small talk. Mm-hmm. And we also used to small talk, versus Europe, it's a bit more reserved. People won't just have a conversation with you.
Yes.
So I agree with it, but also don't agree with it, because I think some of the best people that I've met at my company are Poles. They're really fun people. And Sinead's also got Polish friends.
Yes, a couple of them actually.
And they're super fun individuals.
I feel like we match very, very well. So it is really if you get to know them or you get to know the Polish, it's super, a nice type of person to be friends with. And that's...
Moral of the story: do not judge a book by its cover.
Yes.
Each other with, so we're all quite friendly, even though we can be fake and superficial in some ways. And then going to Colombia or some of the Western European countries, especially the Latin countries, Spain, Italy, people are super, super friendly. And you come here and the difference is quite large. Do you want to make a guest appearance in the video? Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
So where are you from?
I'm Egyptian, but also Polish, but also I lived in Canada. I think my biggest con is coming from a place that's really friendly like Canada.
Yes.
People
Same.
are so not nice here.
They're not even not friendly. They're like low-key rude. You're just asking instructions or anything, and then they'll just look at you like curse their mom or something, right?
Especially with Slavic and Eastern European countries in general, they're just so used to not talking to each other. They're all going through a hardship, so no one really communicates to each other. You see each other through your struggle. It's just not the culture they built. Another big thing is smiling at people. I, in Canada, am one of the people who had the most negative faces. The contrast of being called, you know, so moody and like not pleasant to be around there, and here I'm like a ball of sunshine is what everyone calls me.
But Krakow specifically, compared to other places in Poland, people here are, I would say, friendlier because it's more like of an international city. It's more of a college town, so there's a lot of young people here. Once you realize that everybody's like minding their own business, nobody will bother you. It's very similar to how it is in Eastern Asian countries. It's the same in Korea, Japan, China, but it's like a super, super safe society. So if you guys are thinking about living in another country,
I feel it's also more the older generations that are more reserved, closed off, short, you know. The younger generation, I think that yes, they are not as verbal as countries like Americans or South Africans, but I feel like they're still a lot better. And I think a lot of it has got to do, like you said, with the hardship that they suffered. I mean, up until 1990s, you know, Poland was still under control, and then only the past 30 years have they really been like independent, you know. So a lot of it's got to do, I feel, with the fact that they grew up in very hard times, and that's kind of like creating this hard shell and poverty, and people just.
I wouldn't necessarily say that they're being rude. It's just they're not fake. They're not gonna fake smile at you or fake conversation with you if they don't want to. Like you will know where you stand with the Polish, and that's actually something that I respect.
But Germans are the same. You know where you stand at all times.
Yeah, they're not fake.
To the point.
Yeah.
whether it's here in Poland or Southeast Asia or Latin America, there's so many things to look for when you're making that decision. People, dating, culture, language, race, right? There are so many layers to it. It can be very confusing if you don't have any experience. So if you guys need help in making that decision, feel free to hit me up here for a consultation. Another thing that you will not like about living here is that things don't always work here, especially if you're from America. There's a standard of everything working how it's supposed to be. The customer is always right, that kind of attitude. You don't really have that here. Sometimes you go to a place, the roads may be broken down or the bus might not arrive on time. Just kind of small things like that. It's not as bad as when I was like in Colombia. When they would do construction on something, it would take years because people would always just steal the money and nothing would ever get done. I don't think the same level of corruption.
Sounds familiar.
Very familiar.
For those who don't know, South Africa's the exact same, you know.
I wonder if he's lived in anywhere else in Europe, because the things that he's explaining is like what we're experiencing as well. I mean, you get ghost buses, like the ones that say they're here but they don't arrive, or trains are late all the time. Trains are cancelled because of construction. Roads are closed because of construction. A journey that's supposed to take you 15 minutes can take you 2 hours because of it. So I don't...
You got to pick your poison, you know,
I think things work, but nothing is perfect. And I don't think America is either.
I think people come here with expectations that everything is like perfect. And it's not perfect. It's like everything, everywhere that we've been in Europe, there's obviously delays and there's stuff that happens, but it's still a lot better than other countries.
Yes.
So don't complain.
Don't complain.
But I think what he's trying to say is that don't be let down by, you know, don't get your hopes up that it's perfect.
Just expect normal.
But also at the same time, a lot of Poland's major cities over the past 2-3 years have been getting major upgrades. Like Poznan, for example, where we just got back from, which we'll be releasing those videos shortly to our channel. You should check them out. They've just redone their complete brand new redone city center. So it looks stunning. Like the old town square looks really, really nice. I'm not saying that other towns in Poland don't have that, but you can see how much effort went into it. So it's at least positive that they are working on their stuff, because they could not be working on it and it could be going to shit. So you could look what side of the stone that you want to do. Is the glass half full or half empty? It could be seen as positive.
It's up to your attitude. So
Quite exists here in Poland.
This is my personal issue. I don't like the way people act when they're going out at night. For example, in Canada, you'll never see that people are getting so drunk that they're vomiting on the streets. But here, it's a very big thing.
Like Polish people or foreigners?
I guess it's both, because I've seen it both happen on multiple occasions. I hate it. I really do hate it. You'll never see this vomit in the streets if you're visiting during the day, because someone cleans it up during the night. It's just a fact that someone has to.
Does that sound familiar to you?
hello, welcome to Germany.
I don't know if it's Germany or Berlin in specific, but
No.
I have never seen so much vomit on the floor in Berlin like I have anywhere else in the world. And maybe it's just because it's Berlin,
I don't know.
but there's vomit everywhere,
Well, I mean, I don't.
especially in the evenings, at the train stations.
On the weekend.
On the weekends, yeah. But they just go all out. But it's weird because Poland, you're not allowed to drink in public.
Yeah, but she's saying it's how they act when they're going out. So coming home from a club or something like that.
Very loud.
I mean,
What do you mean by
what? Yeah, but like, what do you expect if you go out and you get drunk with your friends? Like, you can be loud and vomit if you have to.
Has anyone ever seen a British stag do? Have you seen how loud they are?
Yeah, it's just like, come on.
To clean it up every night to me, which is a bit crazy. I don't know if you realized it.
No, I've never been out late enough to really see that, to be honest, because I'm always back by like 1 or 2. I think just Eastern Europe in general, Central Europe, they have a huge problem with alcohol. I think Western Europe, unless they're British, I think they can handle their alcohol better. One of the worst things about
We
Poland.
call them Eastern Europe.
Yeah, firstly, Poland is Central Europe. So you can't classify Poland as Eastern Europe. Maybe it was trying to refer to other Slavic countries or Eastern Europe, but that's pretty poor.
We said Central as well. Okay.
Poland is Central Europe.
Not Eastern.
We learned that on our first day on the job,
Yes.
doing these videos.
Yes.
Central Europe. You can measure it on the map.
Very central.
But what he said before that, he was like, Brits can handle their alcohol well.
Can they?
Can they? Can they handle their alcohol well?
What nation do you think can really handle their alcohol well?
I think South Africans can handle their alcohol really well.
Can they?
Can they? Can you?
Can I?
Can I? Can we?
No.
And everybody will talk to you about this, is the weather. Poland is amazing half of the year, and then the other half of the year is complete.
What do people expect when they move to Europe? Like, what do you expect Australian weather?
I think people expect the weather to be nice all year round.
But then don't come to Europe.
And unfortunately, it's not like that. I'm not saying, we're not hating on him because he's making it for other people. But I think other people come here and they expect the weather to be nice all year round. And to be honest, like I would have expected the weather to be a little bit better in Germany. So I kind of like am also fall into that trap. Like you don't expect to only have real good summer weather for like 4 months of the year. Like I prefer a lot more warmer weather,
No, but I mean,
especially coming from a country
Yes.
like South Africa.
no hate intended, of course, to him. I'm trying to just understand, do people actually move to Europe, any country in Europe, and think that they're going to have great weather? Because is it not like a known fact that the winters are brutal and cold?
I think they are naive. People are naive in thinking that it's not as bad. But I think if you in more of the northern countries, like if you're in the southern countries like Spain, South Coast, Italy, Croatia, Greece, like the winters are okay, it's bearable.
It's better.
But like the northern countries, like north of France, Netherlands, Germany, Poland, all the other Eastern European countries, like it's very cold.
Yeah, it
And
is what it is.
the winter gets brutal. You get used to going to bed at 3 p.m.,
3 p.m.
on the Sunday or Saturday. It's dark here by that time. What else must I do for another 5 hours? Work. That's probably the most difficult thing. Like, it can be 3 p.m. outside and it's dark.
Yeah, it is. It's an adjustment.
But there again, in the summertime, it's 11 p.m. and there's light. Yeah, so it's crazy.
Miserable. This is the first time in my life that I ever experienced seasonal depression. I like living in cold weather. When I was in Colombia, I lived in a city called Manizales.
I feel like
which is in
I'm
the
in
mountains,
seasonal
and it was
depression at the
consistently
moment.
like 15 to 22 degrees every single day. Coming here, especially because the sun sets during the winter at like 3:30 p.m. Oh my God, it was brutal. I would wake up, I would get 4 hours of like daylight. I just felt like super tired and miserable and kind of sad all the time. And as soon as the sun started coming up again, I realized like a huge change in my mood. So if you've never experienced this any time in your life before, the seasonal depression and the winter here is gonna be very rough. If you're not like super focused,
I think the most ideal way to get over that is you must either like work the winters abroad, or you take a long holiday over the winter period.
Breaking the winter in
Like
half.
January, Feb. Like go like 6 weeks. I don't know. Go to Asia in the summer. Go to South Africa. Weather's fantastic. That's what we're doing. Go get vitamin D. Just kind of like break the winter.
Yes,
Because I think it's brutal if you don't.
agreed.
focused on work and you just want a couple of months to kind of hibernate, or if you're in a relationship and you want like that cuddle weather, I think it could be quite cool. For me, this was the first time being in a Slavic country all by myself, new country, I had to adjust to everything, make new friends. The first couple months here for me were quite rough. The next year, experiencing winter here is not gonna be as bad because I'll kind of know what to expect. I came from Southeast Asia, which is like sun all of the time, to here. So it was like such a drastic change. And if you're not used to something like that, definitely be prepared for that. Another con about Poland is that I hear that there are some bureaucracy issues here. For example, if you're trying to get your visa or your residency card, I've heard a lot of my friends complain about the length of time it takes to get those things. Something that should take just a couple of months can end up taking
It's kind of like Germany, and it's kind of like also a lot of other European countries. Like stuff just take long.
I keep on, it's like a recurring theme. It's not a Poland thing, it's a European thing that it's describing.
I think every single one of these points as far is
Applied to
to Europe. You know,
Yes.
it should be why you'll hate living
Europe.
in Europe.
Yeah.
Because like all these things are applicable, I think, to majority of the European countries. You know, like they all to some extent are very similar.
Yes.
taking a couple of years because of the paperwork and the process and everything. A very common stereotype about Polish people, and I have seen this firsthand as well. Polish people also complain about everything. We have a group chat in our building, and most of the people that complain there are either Polish or Turkish or Azerbaijan or something like that. But it is a common stereotype, even to the point where I have Polish friends who will say that when they go to different countries and they hear Polish, they will not even want to associate with other Polish people because they know how the personality is. And especially during the winter months, you're gonna find that like Polish people just seem very grumpy all the time. So going back to them being rude, even if you want to just say hello, sometimes they won't even look at you or respond to you, or they'll respond very rudely. It's very different, for example, than Ukraine, where when I was there, everybody was super friendly. And even all the Ukrainians here are quite nice and friendly comparatively to the Polish people. I think it's something you can get used to after a while. From all my travels and experiencing people from all over the world, it's been quite drastic here. Because even in like places like China or Korea, maybe the people are cold, but they're not going to be super rude. Here, the people for some reason are just like a little ruder than normal. And then the last con is the language. Thankfully, here in Krakow, there's a lot of younger people, and most people here do speak English. But a lot of places in Poland, they still don't speak English. I debate about this every day. Like if I want to take the time to learn Polish, I may take it for 30 days just to make a video about it. It sounds like one of the hardest languages ever. I don't really have any motivation to learn that language the same way that I learned Spanish, for example. Because I learned Spanish for me. It's so close to English that I was able to get conversationally fluent in like 6 months. Slavic languages are so different than English or the Latin languages. I feel like it'd be very difficult for me. And if I don't plan on staying in Poland for like extended period of time, all that effort that I'm gonna put into learning the language is just gonna go to waste. So I would only really learn Polish if I end up with a Polish partner in the long term. Even at that point, she's probably gonna speak English, so I'm probably not gonna focus that much effort into learning the language. I've been here for 4 months already, and I have to say that it's been a very pleasant experience. These are the only cons that I have so far about living here in Poland. I don't know if I'm gonna stay in Poland for the long term. Everything's really up in the air. My plan now is to go to Spain, but anything can really happen in the next few years, so we're just gonna have to see what happens. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.
I think if you want to integrate into society, it's actually a necessity that you learn the language.
That is if your intention is to live there long term.
Or if you want to be able to communicate with people that can't speak English. Like that to me is
But if you're like traveling around and you've got no intention in staying in a place long term, then I'd say like yes, then it's like you put so much effort and time into learning it, but you're not going to live there forever. You know, so it especially like the hard languages like
the difficult one.
difficult ones like Polish. It's challenging to commit yourself all that time if you're only going to be there for like a year or two. But if you know you're going to live there forever, just like, for example, if you know you're going to live in Germany forever, then you probably should do it because you need to integrate.
But I think that the people will respect if you can just like at least learn the basics, you know? If you can have a basic small talk with someone, they'll appreciate it.
I think our next video should be another Polish language lesson. Probably a video of the hardest Polish words to pronounce.
Most difficult. Yes, you can't speak English.
I can't even speak English. Now you want me to speak German or Polish. Like, it's just not gonna work. But if you've got any cool recommendations, then let us know at the bottom. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so that you stay up to date with all of our latest videos.
Yeah, we're also on Instagram and we'll link it below. Follow us there so you can have snippets of our journeys that you won't necessarily see on YouTube. But thank you guys so much for watching. We really enjoy spending this time with you. And this is us. This is Beyond Borders.
Over and out. Do widzenia.